It's Rob!
Tony!
We're in gaming!
And that's you!
Hello inmates and welcome back to the Inn. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshak if you want to call me by my in-game name. In the stream yesterday by Ben and Frodan, there were, I believe, 25 new Karazhan cards revealed, which means I have a lot of cards to cover. I'm actually going to split this into two separate sections, one being all the neutrals they covered, and the other being all of the class cards that they covered. So, doing the video, covering 25 cards, we're talking over an hour. So I'm going to split it up. Hopefully each video should be roughly 20 to 25 minutes. And we're going to go over the cards briefly. Again, this is going to be kind of a first look, my impressions of the card. Is it going to be seen in ranked play? Maybe some synergies we can point out, and then also if it'll do well in arena. So ranked arena, general thoughts about the card. Again, this is kind of a first look, not a deep analysis of the cards themselves, as we do have a ton of cards to cover. And the cards will be released in just a few days, so we'll actually go over analysis then. And we also have Moonglade video coming out, so hopefully, I'm not sure when that'll be out, but the Moonglade analysis should be out soon. So our first card is going to be a really cool dragon synergy card. It's a 2-drop, 1/3 battle cry. If you're holding a dragon, discover a dragon. So, you can discover Neff, Ysera, Chilmal, depending on the Twilight Guardian. So depending on the situation, you're going to be able to pick yourself out the dragon you need at that particular time. Also, dragons, as we know, there's only the really powerful dragons on certain turns, right? Like we have a lot of good 9-drop dragons. We have a lot of good 4-drop dragons, but somewhere in the 5 to 6 3-drop dragons, there's not a lot in there. So when you play this Discover card, you're going to be able to fill in the gap of dragons you may not have on that particular turn, which is really cool. And also the Discover mechanic, as we know, you get your choice of 3 dragons, which is also, you have a variety there, and you're able to pick out, again, whatever you need. It's also a battle cry, so it works out well with Bran. And yeah, it's if you're holding a dragon as well, so you actually have to have a dragon in your hand. But that's kind of with all the dragon synergy cards, whether you're talking about the Blackwing Corruptor that deals 3 damage to something if you have a dragon, the Twilight Guardian, which gains, taunt and +1 attack. So holding a dragon, it shouldn't really be an issue with this card, as you would run this in a dragon deck. And the stats, again, aren't too bad. If it was maybe a 2-drop 1/2, it was questionable, but a 2-drop 1/3, at least it doesn't have, it's got a decent amount of health. It's not a whole lot, but you play this card for the battle cry, not for the stats. It's also a neutral, and again, it doesn't belong into any particular category, which means it can fit into just about any other dragon deck. Moving to the next one, the Arcane Anomaly. This is a 1-drop 2/1. Whenever you cast a spell, give this minion +1 health. I don't think it'll be seen in ranked, maybe, but I think it will be a pretty solid arena card just for the 1-drop 2/1 stats. But maybe in some decks it could fit in quite well due to the fact that if there are a lot of spells and you're playing them quickly, that you could make this guy, a 1-drop 2/3. But if you look at other cards such as Mana Worm, Tunnel Trog, Northshire Cleric, just things like that for 1 mana you get much more than just the +1 health for whenever you cast a spell. So it's like this guy, you compare him to other really strong 1-drops, and he's just not as strong in ranked. But in arena, on the other hand, you don't have the ability to pick hand pick those those tier 1 prime Tunnel Trog 1-drops. So this guy could fit into that nice slot in arena for just a decent 1-drop you throw in there. And if you happen to cast a spell, he does get some ability from that, but he's not as strong as what he looks like, in my opinion. Moving to the next one, the 5-drop 3/6 avian watcher, and he says battle cry. If you control a secret, gain +1 and +1/1 and taunt. Sorry guys, there's the AC going right now, and it's making this horrific screeching noise. So I hope the audio is not picking that up, and if it is, I'm gonna do my best to take it out, but it's really distracting. So I've already looked at a couple of these cards. I haven't really taken a great look at them, but I've noticed a lot of secret synergies coming up. So maybe they're trying to push the whole secret thing again now that Secret Paladin took a really big hit, along with mages losing Mad Scientist. There hasn't been as much secrets being played in decks, and then with the cards that we're gonna see coming up, including this one, they're kind of pushing for you to put back secrets in your deck to give you a little bit more synergies. Maybe not as powerful as the Mysterious Challenger, but cards that benefit off you playing secrets, and vice versa. So this guy says, again, if you control a secret, gain +1/+1 and taunt. He's a neutral, so he can fit Paladin, Hunter, Mage, whatever class have secrets. There's no, he's locked into just one class. I think it's cool. I think they're adding some secret synergy is important in the game, as secrets don't really have anything to synergize well with them besides just the fact that like they're secrets, and then there you have Mysterious Challenger, which isn't really played anymore, and then you have a couple other cards like Soul Eater and stuff that take away secrets, but no one plays secrets, so you're just like, no one's going to play the Soul Eater card. So adding cards like this maybe gives people an incentive to play secrets, therefore playing cards that, you know, work well, like Secret Keeper, that can actually, not Secret Keeper, Karazhan Mystic that actually takes secrets, so it just adds in a whole new kind of deck archetype, and then new cards to tech in against those new decks, which is cool. The Arcane Giant. Alright, this guy's actually really, really cool in my opinion, and I'm going to look forward to playing him in a lot of my decks. Well, not a lot, but some of the decks I plan on building in the future. So he's a 12-drop, 8/8, and he says cost 1 less for each spell you've played this game. So if you think about all the other cards that, you know, cost 12 or 23, like the Molten Giant, most of them have some sort of cost 1 less for every card in your hand. Cost 1 less for every damage you've taken, cost 1 less for every card in your opponent's hand. There's a lot of cards that say, like, in response to them being so high, for them having a high cost, for a mana cost, they have this cost 1 less ability. And then it was only a matter of time before they implemented something like this, that you cast a spell and it reduces it. So the first thing you think of is like Yogg Mage, Token Druid, maybe, I don't think Control Warrior, as there are a lot of spells in Control Warrior. Actually, I don't know. Maybe he could go and Control Warrior. Maybe one of them. But either way, he's going to fit into a lot of cool decks in my opinion. And it kind of gives those classes that don't have the ability to play these giant creatures. Like, when is the last time you saw an 8/8 come from a mage, right? But now this actually gives a mage the ability to play some sort of huge tempo card without paying a whole lot. So whether you're only paying 5 mana for an 8/8, not like Shamans who only pay 4 mana for 7/7, but we're not going to go there. This card is going to give those classes the ability to play some sizable creatures that normally they'd never be able to play, because that's just not the style of deck. So that kind of opens up a lot of doors for decks like Mage, like I mentioned before, to play some sizable creatures. Also, Yogg and Load. I think this will be really cool in Yogg and Load. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a hunter deck with all spells and traps and just a bunch of cool abilities, the Lock and Load card and Yogg, and it's just you're playing spells the whole game, and I think this guy will synergize really, really well with that deck, now that I think about it a little bit more. Alright, so we're moving on to the Moat Lurker. He's a 6-drop, 3/3, Battle Cry, really cool, destroy a minion. Just destroy a minion, wreck a minion, eat that minion. Death Rattle, resummon that minion. So you're paying 6 mana to get rid of a card, and you get a 3/3 in body. So essentially you're paying 3-ish mana to remove a creature, but the Death Rattle is going to bring it back. He only has 3/3 in stats, turn 6, which means your opponent's probably going to be able to kill this guy either the following turn, if not the turn after. I would not expect this guy to live on the board that long as he resummons the minion he killed. So you would play this guy in maybe like a Silence deck, right? So there was a Silence Druid deck running around not too long ago that the entire deck basically revolved on you playing huge creatures that normally couldn't attack because of whatever ability you played. Like, I think he's a 4-drop 7/7. If there's cards on the field, he can't attack or do anything. But if you silence him, he automatically becomes really good because he's a 4-drop 7/7 and he's a neutral. There's also Ancient I think he's called the Ancient Watcher. He's a 2-drop 4/5, really good. But he said literally the text on him is just can't attack. So normally, like what is it? The Control Warlock deck. For some reason, I can't think of the name now. Handlock would give him Taunt. But when you have cards like this, also, you play more, you play this guy in the Silence deck, and he'll be able to silence this guy, so you've actually killed their card, you silence them, he can't, resurrect them with his Death Rattle. Kind of got off topic a little bit, but him in a Silence deck doesn't make sense. There's also this new Priest card, which we haven't gone over yet, but it also silences your own minion, draw a card, which the first thing I thought was to combo him with this guy, but is 6 mana really worth it? Like, you have to have 2 cards and you only kill 1 creature, and what if they don't have a big creature out? This guy's just sitting in your hand. So it's kind of like, I don't think it's going to be that great, in my opinion, but there is synergies to be had. Alright, the Violet Illusionist, he's a 3/3, 4/3. During your turn, your hero's immune. The stats are there, so in Arena, definitely. Also, he's if you're playing against maybe like a burst sort of deck and you're scared about dying, it's during your turn. Wow, that's even worse. Yeah, this card's just bad in my opinion. Like, the stats are good, so in Arena, if you're looking for a really good 3-drop, like, instead of him being a 3/4 like a Spider Tank, he's a 4/3, so it definitely adds like a good card to Arena just in stat-wise, but its actual ability is kind of, I don't see its ability really being played for any particular reason. I mean, yeah, you can play it in Warrior and then you can attack. So you think of the new Warrior card, which again, we haven't gone over. Actually, I think it is in here, but you can attack as many times as you want in one turn. It has 4 durability, so essentially you wouldn't take any damage, but Warrior has armor to take care of that. I don't think you'd play just this particular card. So don't really like it. Stats are good. It'll be played in Arena. Alright, so we got the Pantry Spider. It's a 3-drop, 1/3 battle cry, summon a 1/3 spider. So you're technically getting a 2/6 in stats for 3 mana, and he's a beast, plus he looks pretty cool. He's a neutral. I can see him being played in beast decks, obviously, because you're summoning 2 sizable beasts on turn 3. A 2/6 worse in stats for 3 mana, but if you're playing a beast deck, the first thing I think is maybe like Druid or Hunter, and Hunters already have a really good 3-drop Animal Companion. They have Eagle Horn Bow. Druids, what do they have? They've got the card that transforms into a 2/5 or a 5/2, so it actually could replace that card because you're actually getting a 2/6 in stat instead of just a 2/5. But you don't get the ability to transform, and if you're playing Fandral, then you actually get a 5/5 for 3 mana, which is automatically better than the Pantry Spider. So I'm not really sure where this guy's going to fit. I'll have to play with him in a few decks and throw him in there. But overall, not a bad card. Really good in Arena, in my opinion. He's definitely sizable in Arena. And if he's Battlecry, you know, brand out, you can summon 3 of these little Pantry Spiders. That's a lot of spiders. So not really too much on these neutral cards. We're talking about the 5-drop, 4/4 Battlecry. Give a random friendly beast, dragon, and Murloc +2/+2. Holy shit. That's a huge buff. And he's already, like, he's not, like, if he was a 5-drop, like, 3/3, it'd be like, ooh, the stats are horrible. You're paying 5 mana, but he has a really good ability. But the fact that he's a 5 mana 4/4, so it's not great, but it's not bad. And you give a random Beast Dragon Murloc, which, by the way, is going to be the new meta. Beast Dragon Murloc, here we go. 2016, August 11th, it's coming at you. But 2/2 in stats is huge, guys, but you have to have them on the field, right? So not only do you have to be able to get these cards on the field first, you have to have this card in your hand and then, you know, give them the buff. But once you give them a buff like this, 2/2 is huge. Even if you're just giving it to 2 creatures, it's good. You don't even have to hit all 3. So I think this is definitely a cool card. Maybe a 1-of, 2-of's a lot. But maybe a 1-of and one of those. Maybe you could play 2. I don't know yet. It's hard to say what's going to be good and not going to be good going into the Karazhan until you can play with the cards, guys. When we go back and the cards come out and we look at this review, I could have been completely wrong on these cards. I'm sure I'm going to be wrong on some of them. There's just no way. Everybody said Dr. Boom was going to suck. Mysterious Challenger was going to suck. Reno Jackson was going to suck. Little did we know, all of those decks, or all of those cards, were amazing in the decks that they were built around. So definitely there's a lot to learn. The Runic Egg, a 1-drop 0/2 Death Rattle draw card. This card I really didn't understand. I mean, I understand the card, but I can't. Nothing comes into my head when I'm like, yeah, I would play this card in this deck. It's going to do well. And that's what kind of Ben Brode was mentioning. He's like, we don't want to make cards that fit well into the decks that are currently out because that doesn't help the game at all. We want to make new cards that fit into new decks. And you guys have to figure out what those new decks are, which is really awesome. So I don't have a grasp on what exactly this Runic Egg is going to fit into. Obviously, the draw card Death Rattle is somewhere going to be implemented. It's only a 1-drop. You get a 2 HP body. So you're essentially paying 1 mana to draw a card, but it also can be buffed to make trades. So I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's an addition to cards you can get for 1 mana. So there's a lot of cards that say random blank, summon a 1 mana, like, what is it called? The Mounted Raptor, when this dies, summon a random 1 mana card. So this is added to that. So it's really not that bad as a 1-drop for like a random summon you'd get from a potential creature's Death Rattle. So, and then we've got the Arcanosmith. This guy's a 4-drop 3/2 Battlecry, summon a 0/5 minion with Taunt. Again, I think it's cool. I think 4 mana for a 3/2 is bad. Like, that's just bad. But summon an 0/5 minion with Taunt. I'm trying to think of, obviously the 0/5 can be buffed with spells. It's definitely, it has Taunt, so it can take a beating before they get into your, you know, your main line of creatures, which is nice. I got nothing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we finished off with a card. There's just nothing here, guys. There's nothing that comes to mind. So for all of the cards that we've gone over, if there's anything that I happen to miss or I didn't cover to the best of my ability, you can go ahead and leave your comment in the section below and let me know what you think about the card, and maybe some things, again, I didn't cover that, people are looking for further information about the cards would want to go see. Sorry if you hear a dog walking around. Marshall is currently in the room with me, but he's a little shy. He's been kind of he's in a bad mood because his owner's out on a trip, which is why I'm in a new area. I didn't actually mention that. I'm not recording behind a green screen, and I'm not using the same mic that we normally use. We have the nice, crazy good audio mic, but I'm just using a Blue Yeti right now, so nothing too crazy. Should have mentioned that at the start, but I forgot. And so as always, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed, and I'm Warshak, of course, and happy whatever the hell day it is.